Welcome back to the Papa Shrill Nose podcast, and we are back to discuss the Super Bowl. I'm going to keep this episode mainly the Super Bowl. Chiefs Kingdom didn't quite happen. For the first time in 728 days, there's a new champion of the NFL, that is the Philadelphia Eagles. A 40-22 victory over the Chiefs. Obviously a very rough first half, 24-0. And the Kansas City Chiefs just couldn't really muster up anything or really do anything to change the course of this game or do anything to really alter anything. That offensive line was absolute garbage. We're going to get into it. I haven't gotten into the film like too much or at all, really. I mean, maybe I watched a little bit, but definitely one of those ones that, you know, when initially that when it happened, honestly, and I don't know, how Chiefs fans feel out there in general, but if you've been around for a little while, if you've seen some of the things like I've seen as a Chiefs fan, this loss wasn't that bad. I mean, honestly, like, in all honesty, I think it's a lot harder to win a very close game than it is, or to lose a very close game than it is to lose a game where, I mean, essentially the Chiefs just ran out and got blown out by the Eagles. The Eagles had their number in this game, and, I've had, plenty of conversations over the last couple of weeks now after the game, or I guess last week. Man, that's how long it feels like it's been, it feels like it's been a couple of weeks, but it is, I'm recording this Saturday evening, so, I mean, it hasn't even been a full week yet. So, obviously, it's tough. This team was chasing history, longest reign in NFL history. That's 728 days is. No other team has held on to winning consecutive Super Bowls and surviving that long, going all the way back to a third Super Bowl. Only team in history to do that. At the end of the day, I mean, all the craziness we've seen online, it's kind of built up to this point. It's been rigged all year. All of a sudden, this was the first fair game of the season that was called, minus one call that was an offensive pass interference. That was an offensive pass interference, very clearly. A.J. Brown stiff-arming Trent McDuffie to the ground. I don't know. I do know. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. And therefore, most NFL fans automatically think no calls should go the Chiefs' way, ever. Because all the calls go their way, even though there's not one statistic out there that shows that to be true. It actually disproves that statement, and, essentially we got a lot of flat earthers in NFL fan circles. And by that, I just mean no disrespect to you flat earthers out there. I'm getting off the rails right off the gate, obviously. But, a lot of conspiracy theorists out there, right? Everybody wants to believe in a conspiracy theory, and, the Chiefs are prime for that right now. The funny part about it is, the last couple of weeks, I feel like the discussion was how the Patriots weren't that bad, and, everybody respected the Patriots, and everybody loved the Patriots. Man, you guys were not there. Anyone saying that was not there for that run at all. Nobody liked the Patriots, unless you were a Patriots fan. Nobody liked the Patriots. Matter of fact, they got caught cheating twice. The Kansas City Chiefs have been caught cheating. There was that one time. Actually, 0 times. The Kansas City Chiefs have never cheated or been caught. Any allegations, anything to that nature has never come out of Kansas City, although in New England it did quite a few times during their dynasty run. You got a lot of people trying to say the best tweet was, the mini dynasty is over. The mini dynasty. 7 straight AFC championship games, going to 5 out of the last 7 Super Bowls is a mini dynasty, is what we are being told. Fascinating. I don't know. I don't want to get too much into that or really play the semantics with the Patriots and their dynasty. Obviously, they went 20 years strong. Obviously, there was a long period in between there where they had no success. Well, I won't say no success, but no success is in Super Bowl wins for quite some time. There was really that first run, in the early to mid 2000s, and then there was the second run in the mid 2010s to late 2010s, essentially, capping off with that Super Bowl win against the Los Angeles Rams. Just all kinds of craziness, really. And what I wanted to get to first of just kind of how insane social media really is, just in general. The GOAT debate is over. Patrick Mahomes is 29. The GOAT debate is over. That one has been one that just really blows my mind because, and this is coming from a person that if Patrick Mahomes would have went out and won that Super Bowl, unless it was 27-0 or 24-0, whatever it was at half or right after half, shortly after, that's about the only way where I start saying, okay, maybe we can start talking about real GOAT conversations with Pat and Tom. But even winning that game, if they would have went out there and won another game like they did against the Niners or the last one against the Eagles, or even blown the Eagles out, anything of that nature, the three-peat gets the conversation started. There's nowhere near enough to say, oh, Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT over Tom Brady. Not even with a win last Sunday, I don't believe. I know that there's been a lot of conversation from Chiefs Kingdom side that says otherwise, that believes that would have put him there. There's some people that already think he's the GOAT. Not even close. So let's not play that game. But to say that this conversation is over is absolutely insanity. Patrick Mahomes is 29 years old. And Brady played till what, 44? Something like that? There's a lot of time left. There's just a lot of time left. I know there's being a lot made about the Travis Kelce situation. Does he retire? Does he leave? Does he stay? Which, leaving, I think, is the craziest one that I've seen, where I have seen somebody say where if Kelce does come back, he won't be in a Chiefs uniform. That's also insane. One, I'm not 100% sure, and obviously with the offseason coming up, we're going to get way more into detail into roster structure and these things. But I do think Kelce's still under contract next year. So, first of all, there's no way he's going to go anywhere else. Second of all, I don't know. I don't know if he comes back. Honestly. I think if the Chiefs would have won this game, I think for sure he retires. Maybe he comes back for one more season. I also saw another report that said that Kelce is going to have to live with being in a more of a role player role, which I'd argue that he has been at least this season, if not maybe kind of last season as well. I don't know. I feel like Kelce is. We've obviously seen the downward turn of his career, the trajectory that we're on, and that's fine. It is what it is. Guys get older, less production. Still, easily top 5, top 3 tight end all time, easily. He had a rough game, though. Travis Kelce had one of the worst games that you could have had in a Super Bowl, and, I mean, that play, you know what play I'm talking about. It was bad. So, let's get into this. We're going to actually go in and break down the Super Bowl. I've got PFF pulled up. I'm going to go drive by drive through this game. We're just going to have a absolutely miserable time on this podcast today, and we're going to go straight through everything just because, I think it's worth it. I mean, this is the Super Bowl. This is the biggest game of the year, obviously. This is the chance to go three-peat, and, this is what the Chiefs are going to have to do, too. They're going to have to look into it. They're going to have to see what went wrong. I'll be getting into some film as well. Obviously, all off-season, I'll be getting into film for same thing like I did last year. Some of these players that are lesser known, maybe kind of see what their tape looked like in 2024, see what we may see out of them in 2025, predictions, things like that. Also, we'll be having mock drafts come up and plan to go through that. Plan to have a few. I know a couple years ago that I was really heavy on a lot of draft content over the offseason. Last year, not so much. Kind of was a little lull in the springtime for me on the channel. So stay tuned because I'm going to keep trying to keep up with the draft. Especially it's such a critical draft for the Chiefs, I think. We'll get into it. All right, opening drive of this game was for the Eagles. Started off, solid little drive. This is what comes up with the pass interference. It was a 4th and 2 that we talked about. It was a pass interference. You can argue with the wall that it was an offensive pass interference. And this is my biggest thing on this right here. The saying OPI versus DPI. Because we let the receivers get away with so much. I mean, the receivers get away with everything. Week 2 against Cincinnati, I watched Trent McDuffie be pulled down by his shoulder pads, the collar area, got pulled down by Jamar Chase. The moment Jamar Chase realized he was not going to catch the ball, he reached out, grabs McDuffie's collar, and yanks him down to the ground. Penalty flag's thrown. Now, I was at this game, so I didn't see it like that at first, like what would have been shown on TV. They did show the replay in the stadium. The moment they showed that replay and we heard defensive pass interference 22, the crowd got livid for a moment, as they should have. Easily offensive pass interference. There was hand fighting. Jamar Chase just yanks him down. Right here, hand fighting. And A.J. Brown mushes McDuffie in the face. Pulls him down by the face mask. Catches the ball. First down. If you don't think that's offensive pass interference, you're either biased towards the offense, biased towards the Eagles, or just, biased that you can't stand the Kansas City Chiefs and are living with the Chiefs derangement syndrome currently. Those are the only 3 options, really, if you don't think that's OPI. Now, if you say you don't think that it should have been called there, okay, I could kind of see that. That's fair. But this is how you start the Super Bowl out. This goes back to the last Super Bowl against the Eagles in Arizona, because they let the Eagles get away with holding on Juju Smith-Schuster early in the game. It killed the Kansas City drive. They were forced to punt. Final drive of the game, have the exact same call. And it was the same thing. Bradbury on the first one, he grabs, holding, no call. Last drive of the game, at the end of the day, that Super Bowl, I still think is on the refs. You don't set the tone early, and you don't let it go late, which I don't think that they should have let it go. It was a clear hold. The man said it himself. It was a hold. I held him. Either way, we'll continue to argue about that one till the end of time. The Chiefs turn around their first offensive drive of the game, absolutely miserable. Start off with a solid play, 11 yards, and then after that, just nothing. Let's see. I was trying to see if there's a penalty right here on this one, because they get an 11-yard gain, 1-yard gain, or there's another first down. So they do get the 1 first down. After that, nothing. The ensuing drive that works out ends up in a Jalen Hurts touchdown. Eagles get on the board first. Chiefs get the ball back, which that touchdown drive, I'm going to scroll through it real quick and just kind of look. We had the unnecessary roughness, of course, that extended a drive on a 3rd and 5 that the Chiefs would have been out of. A lot of mistakes from the Kansas City Chiefs that we have not seen all season long. And, to the credit of, call it what you want. I know a lot of people say, and I guess I don't want to try to harp on this too much, but I just think it's really just annoying at the end of the day. Like, if you don't watch football like that, just say that. That's okay. But saying that it's a conspiracy and it's all the refs and this, that, and the third, all right, man. Like, at this point, when I see people making those claims, I just think, okay, you watch highlights and you make your own opinions based off of a bunch of highlights. You don't really watch football. That's fine. And that's okay. But, I'm not going to take that opinion serious anymore past this point. We had a whole season of it. That is going to stay in 2024, the 2024 NFL season. I feel like maybe you guys need to hold me accountable to it, but I'm going to try not to talk about this next season at all. Of the bozos online talking about everything's rigged and rigged for the Chiefs. Either way, let's get back on track for this. But This is what I have to say, though. It just goes to show, just like in all of these games and what I talked about, the Chiefs are the most composed team in the NFL. They were not the most composed team in New Orleans, by far. They made a lot of mistakes that they shouldn't have made, simply, and that was the difference in this game. Just like every other Chiefs game that, anyone has blamed the refs on. I mean, it's a mental error from the Bengals. It's a, mental error from the Ravens. It's, something silly here. It's McDermott coming out and throwing a challenge flag on a play that there's no possible positive outcome for his team. Either it's a catch or it's a penalty for a first down. Either way, doesn't matter. Lose a timeout, even better. It goes back to a 3-and-out for the Chiefs after that touchdown. So 7-0, another 3-and-out. And the defense was keeping them in it, man. The defense was absolutely keeping them in it, because now, to start off the second quarter, they have forced Jalen Hurts into an interception. Brian Cook with an interception. It's still just 7-0. The Chiefs are right in this game. Turn around for another quick 3-and-out. Quick 3-and-out. I mean, they get the ball with 14-15. They punt the ball at 12:50. Reading through this PFF recap of the game is kind of funny, because every time there's a possession change, it says timeout, like the team called a timeout. But I'm guessing they're putting the TV timeouts in there, and just whoever has the ball. Anyways, random side note. Field goal on the next drive for the Eagles, who take about 4 minutes off the clock, down to 8:38. Chiefs get the ball. Patrick Mahomes sacked. Patrick Mahomes, interception, 38-yard touchdown, Cooper DeJean. 17-0. This was the drive that drove me absolutely insane. I think at this point in the game, as I'm watching, one, I had already turned to Bryce, who has been on the pod last year when we were talking baseball, if you recall, or if you have been around that long. I turned to him and I said, I don't know if tonight is going to be good. I think it was in the second drive of the game. I said, this looks exactly like Tampa Bay. Mahomes does not look comfortable in the pocket whatsoever. Worried about the protection, obviously. And for good reason. And I mean, that drive comes up, sack, interception. Those are the 3 plays on that drive. 2 sacks and an interception. It's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. They come out the following drive. 2-yard loss on an Isaiah Pacheco run. 3-yard gain on an Isaiah Pacheco run. Patrick Mahomes sacked for a 7-yard loss. With 7 minutes left in the first half, down 17-0, this was not the time to try to establish the run. The time to try to establish the run was on the second damn drive of the game. I get it the first drive. I'll give that a pass. This is a passing team. We know how Andy rolls. Andy wants to pass the ball. But it's like the Chiefs did nothing that got them here to the Super Bowl. At that point, that drive was the moment where I just thought, we have lost the plot. It is 17-0. The defense is holding strong, and you are not helping them out whatsoever. Punt on a 4th and 16. Ensuing drive for the Eagles is going to end up ending in a punt. Solid drive for the Chiefs defense once again, and they held Saquon Barkley in check. He had less than 3 yards per carry. 17-0 at this point. 1:49 left. Okay. If the Chiefs can get some points, even if it's just 3, we know that the Chiefs will get the ball back first in the second half. There's at that point, you're looking for a 10 to 14 point difference on points going into the half. If you can kind of control the clock, this won't be that bad going into the halftime. First play, Patrick Mahomes interception. And what makes that interception worse, I do believe this was the one that Tooney was pushed straight into Patrick Mahomes as he throws the ball. Straight out of Madden interception, where you're getting hit, the ball looks like where it's going to go, and all of a sudden you're getting hit as you throw the ball, and the whole trajectory changes. Exactly what happened on that play. 100% that interception was on Joe Tooney. Shout out Joe Tooney. Did an amazing job, because I don't want this to be bashing on Tooney or really bashing anyone on that offensive line necessarily, because at the end of the day, I think that this loss, like 95% of it is on this coaching staff. Whether you want to blame Andy Reid, whether you want to blame Matt Nagy, I think it goes on the offensive side, because defense, again, at this point, defense is doing their job. The defense allowed 10 points in the first half. A pick six and a pick on the very first play after I'll just go through this drive real quick, because I'm going to count out how many plays. You're coming off of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 play drive. Not crazy, but solid. 8 play drive that the defense is coming off the field on. Patrick Mahomes then throws an interception to Zach Braun over the middle, very first play. Eagles take over on the Kansas City 14. I'm not blaming the defense on that. Yeah, they could have held them to 3, but after an 8-play drive, and then already at this point, the defense has spent basically the entire first half on the field. We've seen 3 and out after 3 and out, after interception, after, it's bad. It is bad. That was Jalen Hurts' 2-yard touchdown run. We hit halftime 24-0. Now, what I will say about halftime, I did feel still somewhat confident that the Chiefs could turn it around. They had to make some adjustments in the locker room. They went to the locker room and watched the Kendrick Lamar concert and did not focus on the game. That's what I'm essentially convinced on. Second half, brutal. That was, I think, really the first drive of the second half was the moment where it was like, it's pretty much done. Like, unless something miraculous happens or starts to happen, this is what we got. This is what we got tonight. Like, this is what we're going to watch. Next drive, Pacheco, 6-yard run. Mahomes, 8-yard passes coming out of the half. 1 yard loss on a sack. 6 yards lost on a sack. Patrick Mahomes rushes for 8 yards on a 3rd and 17 punt. Philly moves the ball down the field. They take the ball over with 12 minutes exactly left in the third quarter. They kick a field goal with 5:22 left in the third quarter. That drive ended the game. 27-0, 5:22 left in the third quarter. From what we had seen already, I think that is, the game was over. The game was over at that point. It was what it was. Let's see. So let's get back to this. Patrick Mahomes, 11-yard pass to DeAndre Hopkins. 0-yard run. After that, 10-yard loss. I think that's just to cover up the holding, maybe. I'm kind of confused by this whole thing, because it's trying to tell me that Creed Humphrey is the one that ran the ball there. I don't remember this play exactly, but I don't think Creed Humphrey got any carries in this game. So ends up with a punt. Ends up with an incomplete pass on 4th and 5. So at this point, 2:50 left in the third quarter. The Chiefs are going for it on 4th down. 4th and 5, incompletion. That was the wide open one to DeAndre Hopkins that he dropped. The Eagles take over. Very first play. And I do remember I actually missed this one. I think I don't even remember what I went to go do. I think grab me another plate of ribs, because I was like, at this point, we're going to eat the pain away. I did get to grill up some badass ribs, so that was the one plus between that and the Kendrick concert. Whatever. It's not that bad. 3rd straight Super Bowl. Got to put that into perspective. This is when the Kansas City Chiefs started kind of, I don't know if turn the tide is really the right answer or the right thing to say there after the, let's see, what was it, a 46-yard Devontae Smith touchdown, which great call by Sirianni to tell Kellen Moore to call it. I think that came out in the mic'd up version of the Super Bowl, which I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't watch. I have not watched. I've been trying to stay away from most of the content around it. But, like the shorts that pop up, all that good stuff that pops up. But it was dope. It was a dope moment for Sirianni to tell Kellen Moore, hey, man, call it. If we score this touchdown, game's over. And that was the final nail in the coffin. The Devontae Smith touchdown, I mean, there is no chance. It is over. Unless Jalen Hurts goes out and throws, 3 or 4 picks in a row at that point. I mean, I think we all knew it wasn't going to happen. 24-yard touchdown for Xavier Worthy on the next drive. Failed 2-point conversion. Eagles, another somewhat of a long drive. They take over 15 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They kick a field goal at 9:56 left. Patrick Mahomes sacked on an 11-yard loss on the next play with an unsportsmanlike conduct. I think we're missing something here, or at least like a play or two. No, it was a fumble. There it is in the writing. At this point, I don't even know if I really remember much of what was going on. It was kind of a 1,000-yard stare that we're watching. We got the other Worthy touchdown. Did have a DeAndre Hopkins touchdown. Got a Super Bowl touchdown at least. He didn't get his ring, but he did get a touchdown. Of course, the 50-yard bomb to Xavier Worthy. And that would pretty much be it, as Kenny Pickett would kneel out the game with 1:47 left on the clock. Afterwards, 40-22 final score. Philadelphia Eagles, world champs. And shout out Saquon Barkley, man. What an amazing season Saquon had. An amazing run in the playoffs. Obviously, he didn't put up the numbers against the Chiefs in this game, but an amazing season for Saquon Barkley. 25 carries for 57 yards. Chiefs held Saquon Barkley to 2.3 yards per carry. Jalen Hurts, 11 carries, 72 yards and a touchdown. Throwing the ball, 17 of 22, 221, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He did take 2 sacks. Patrick Mahomes took 6 sacks, 21 of 32, 257, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And one of those interceptions is 100% on the offensive line. Jalen Hurts, we're going to have this conversation, obviously, over the offseason, building up to next season. We've already kind of talked about it a little bit with Jalen Hurts. Does this put him in the elite conversation? Me personally? And I feel like I can't say this objectively. Like, I want to so bad say objectively speaking. But at the end of the day, I'm a Chiefs fan. I know what this looks like, what I'm about to say. And that's fine. Call me a homer. Call me upset. Call me mad. Call me whatever the hell you want to call me. Crybaby. Blah, blah, blah. I don't think Jalen Hurts is in that conversation. I do not think that. I think Jalen Hurts had a good game. He didn't impress me necessarily. I mean, when your receivers are getting as much separation as they did last Sunday, I think it was an easy game for him. He still threw an interception. He ran for 72 yards. Great. I mean, he did what he needed to do. I mean, he's right there. He's right there. But again, me and Ray were having this conversation is, what does he look like without, Devontae Smith in the lineup? What does he look like? I mean, even before Saquon got there, I mean, we saw what we got out of Jalen Hurts. So I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced that he is in that elite tier with, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. And now this one is my homer take that you can absolutely call me a homer for. I 110% absolutely believe Patrick Mahomes is still in a tier of his own above those guys. So maybe your third tier would be Burrow Hurts at this point. Because Burt's, put them both together. Burrow is another case where, one, he can't win. It doesn't feel like. And 2, he gets a lot of help. He is the quarterback that has had the most help. The most help out of any, premier elite quarterback Joe Burrow has had with 0 Super Bowls and 0 MVPs. Meanwhile, we just watched Josh Allen go on an MVP campaign. Probably shouldn't have won it. But nonetheless, it was an MVP season. And we saw Josh Allen win an MVP with a rookie receiver, Amari Cooper halfway through the season. I mean, I talked about it leading up to the season. So who the hell are the Bills going to throw to? They don't have anybody. Josh Allen made it work. He cut down on the turnovers. Lamar Jackson, he has not had an elite receiver once in his career. Not once. Finally has an elite running game with him with Derrick Henry. Mark Andrews is washed, as we saw. So, I don't know. We'll get into that conversation more. This podcast, I wanted to just talk about the Super Bowl, kind of go through the game, go through the emotions. I kind of took a little bit of time, just let it sink in, and busy with real life as well. But, I wanted to get back to the podcast and specifically talk about this game. 8 targets, 8 catches, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns, Xavier Worthy. I think most Chiefs fans feel the same way I felt coming out of the game. I'm more excited about next year than I am upset that they lost the chance on the three-peat. And another buddy of mine, funny enough, had texted a group chat of me and some friends saying, well, maybe they'll get the three-peat next time. And I thought, you know what? Hold on. Let me cook real quick with this. But remember when the Chiefs wanted to go back-to-back so bad? Back-to-back. It's all over the city. Everywhere you went in the city, back-to-back. Leading up to the Tampa Bay Super Bowl. Same game. Tampa Bay, Philly, same game. Where's the meme there? Same game. Offensive line absolutely falls apart. Patrick Mahomes cannot do it on his own. Although he is going to try. Maybe this gets him over the hump to three-peat the next 3 Super Bowls. I mean, we'll see. But as long as Andy and Pat are together, I do not worry. They will figure it out. I don't know if Nagy is the issue. I've seen people saying bring Bieniemy back. I've seen the one that really got me that I saw somebody say was Kurt Warner. And that is a guy that has an amazing mind for football. Obviously hasn't been into coaching. Had an amazing career. One of those guys that just has the most impossible career ever, going from the Arena League to bagging groceries to the Arena League to winning a Super Bowl with the Rams to taking the Cardinals to their only Super Bowl. I mean, that guy had an amazing career. And I love watching his film breakdowns. So I think it's an interesting talking point. Doug Peterson is obviously another name that's been flown around a lot. Eric Bieniemy, has been flown around a lot as well, of people saying that they should just bring Bieniemy back. I don't know what the answer is. I'm going to think about it more and come back to this podcast and give you my thoughts. I am jumping into the draft process now. I plan to start kind of a mock draft Monday, throw out a mock draft here and there. Try to keep it weekly or bi-weekly. That way we can just stay on top of all the draft news and kind of see where we think the Chiefs may or may not go at that point. Going to be looking at free agents. I mean, the whole nine. You know what the offseason entails. One last thing that I have on this, and that is the fatigue. So there was an article that came out. It said the Chiefs were Super Bowl fatigued. And a lot of people that did not read correctly or did not comprehend took that and ran with it, man. Sometimes reading through comments, reading through what people say, it is some of the most fascinating things you can do just to see where some people's headspaces are. Because everyone took this as the Chiefs are tired of being in the Super Bowl. I don't know what kind of thought process would give you the thought that the Chiefs are tired of playing in the Super Bowl. They are not tired of playing in the Super Bowl. Just like Chiefs fans are not tired of them going to the Super Bowl. They are physically tired of playing football. I did look this up, and this is something I want to talk about. EDJ is planning on coming on the pod at some point soon, so that'll be here in the next week or so. But the amount of football that the Kansas City Chiefs have played over the last few years, and look, we've talked about it. I've talked about it with EDJ. I've talked about it on my own. In the Super Bowl, this is the 3rd straight Super Bowl for the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes has never fallen short of the AFC Championship game. Even just at the AFC Championship game, most of the league has been on vacation for a month at that point. Most of these teams have been on vacation for a month and a half to 2 months by the time that you're playing the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are just now done with their season for the 3rd year in a row in mid-February. I mean, the draft is in April. OTAs start ramping up. Then you get into training camp. I mean, there is not much of an offseason that the Chiefs have had for 3 years. And I mean, really, if you want to go back, the last 7 years, the Chiefs have not had much time to rest up, to enjoy themselves, really. And whatever. You get the pushback of, well, they're all professional athletes. They make millions of dollars. This, that, and the third. Awesome. I work every day. You don't do what these guys do. You're not an athlete. You don't go to practice and get beat up every day. Play on a Thursday night. Then go to, I don't know, what was it? The Chiefs had 3 games in like 14 days or something like that, or 15, or I don't know, whatever that stretch was around Christmas. It was just absolutely absurd. Pile that on top of it. You're playing prime time all the time because you're the best team in the league. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs have had a lot to deal with over the last few years. That is the Super Bowl fatigue, ladies and gentlemen. That is Super Bowl fatigue. Being tired of playing in the Super Bowl, that's not a thing. That's not real. And I don't understand why anyone would comprehend Super Bowl fatigue as, hey, we would not like to play in the Super Bowl. That's not what that is. We are so damn good, and we have been running this league for 7 years that we are tired. We have played more football than anyone else. And I had the stat pulled up. They played 5 more games than anybody else since 2020. And that's actually the Buffalo Bills, 95 games played. The Chiefs have played 100 games. The 25th, let's see, it's not going to give me the entire stat, but 25th right now, which it looks like mostly all of the rest of the teams, is the Chicago Bears since 2020. They've played 85 games, the Chicago Bears have. That's a 15-game difference. You realize that's almost a full season of games. They have played more than the average bad team over the last 5 years. They have played a full season more than teams that don't consistently go to the playoffs. Let that sink in, man. And you want to tell me they're tired of playing? Get the hell out of here. Anyways, I just had to have that last one there. There's so many just absolutely insane people and insane takes. I mean, even on TV or in the media. And whoever you want to throw in there. But all of these crazy takes, even former players, where Terrell Owens is coming out and saying, oh, the NFL probably got backlash, so they had to switch the script. Shut up. You are just fueling these idiotic thoughts out here by the rest of these fools that come out here and watch highlights and try to tell you, this, that, and the third is going on. So I digress. I'm getting out of here. I'm getting off my soapbox and done talking and rambling around. It was a great season for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think me and EDJ are going to have more of kind of a season wrap podcast. So that'll be headed your way soon. I'm going to be steady working on the draft process, essentially, working on some film. So that is what is coming to this channel. And I'm going to try to jump into more MMA and maybe a little bit of baseball as well. Now that the NFL season has ended, so we'll just see where that goes. Let me know what kind of content you want to hear and you want to see. Smash that subscribe button. Before I forget this, because I'm mad I waited till the end of the episode. Although last time I did this, somebody commented and didn't like that I started the episode off with it. But thank you. Thank you to everyone that subscribed over the last couple of weeks. We hit 300 before the Super Bowl. Absolutely amazing. I really appreciate everyone that did subscribe. And if you are subscribed, and if you're still here, make sure you smash that like button on this podcast. And we're just going to keep on going, keep on grinding, keep on building a little bit of a community talking sports, talking a little bit of football, Chiefs football, whatever kind of football you want to talk. Maybe a little college football, get a little bit more into Mizzou next season. Been a wonderful year. But I appreciate each and every one of you. And so until next time, see you in the next podcast. Pop Short is out of here.